Hello everyone, this is Cookies, and we've got turn 20 of the second round of Lucid's tournament. Let's go ahead and jump in. Get a message from Tianchi. Hi Cookies, well last turn was a disaster, but it should all be over soon. The numerous setbacks during this war with Patala has me feeling like I've fallen behind the pack, and I'm vulnerable to a war with my neighbors. I don't know about falling behind, because many of the other players have had their own disasters. But vulnerable to a war, I would agree with. It has been a lot of attrition. I had to abandon going into the caves, leaving them to my neighbors. Calum and Agartha look like they have done a good job vulturing, and Atlantis appears to be teching up. If I have any more major losses, I will lose any chance of winning the game at this point. I don't I don't entirely agree with that, but it will be a lot more difficult because you'll have lost a lot of tempo, but it is possible to regain tempo in the mid game. I think mid game losses are a lot more devastating than losses in the early game, partially because the investments going into those mid game armies tend to be so much higher. So, I mean, we saw Calum fail expansion here, and I'd say they still have a fair shot in this game. So, as long as you don't die or get reduced to like a cap circle defense, I think it's, there are things you can do to try and outplay people in the mid game. You can take cleaner fights in the mid game, and if you do stuff like that, I think you're certainly on a track where you could still try to win. If anyone could absorb gold losses in a first war, it's probably Tianchi because of that foreign recruit. It is probably hurting his research and maybe getting certain forts up, but he's mostly just lost troops. There were a couple of con thugs with really cheap kits. So I don't, outside of maybe having more forts and mages, which would be a nice advantage going into the mid game, and having Patala sooner, which I think is the bigger deal. I, I don't think he's doing too bad off. No one else has taken a capital just yet either. So, all right. Let's see. So we've got a fair number of battles here. Tianchi attacking Patala on Patala. So this was after the very bloody assault in terms of losing a bunch of these, was it Naga warriors, the Bandar warriors with the cudgels, and several of the Nagaraja thugs. This is what Patala's got left. It's a bunch of long dead. An impressive number of long dead, really. Looks like they might have come with this merc. I'm assuming it's a merc. Nirgash, yeah, I believe that's a merc. And then we've got a little bit of a PD dump, and then what's left of the recruitable troops. There's probably one turn's worth of recruitment inside the fort. And here we have TNG stuff. They've lost more ancestor vessels last turn. I've gone over it a couple of times where I think the ancestor vessels, if anyone should have been on shoot first, probably them with the howling bows to try and shoot through body ethereal. And then if anyone should have been on melee using lances, probably the barb horsemen. I don't know that the composite bows have been super effective, but they're honestly, the barb heavy horsemen have had a tough job this war trying to kill these Nagaraja thugs and these Naga warriors. But they should have a pretty easy time trying to route this PD. So these are the Keshigs from the hero. Looks like he got a pretty high roll this time. Alright, the cat goes forward. Alright, so let's see the buff scripts. I'm assuming it hasn't really changed. Iron Skin, Quicken Self. Let's see how many of them have the kit. 3 have the armor now. All 4 have helmets. 1 has a sword of sharpness, but many have great swords of sharpness. And then we've got Kubadai the Kagan, also with a GSS. He's the one that spawns the Keshigs. Grandson of the original Barbarian King. I think there was it Obadai? Let me look it up. Okay, so I was just kind of looking it up. It looks like maybe he's roughly based off of Kublai Khan, based on the reference to invading Jomon. But yeah, pretty interesting little historical reference. But let's go ahead and get back to the battle. Big hit on the cat. No afflictions. Big kill for the cat, killing this Nagaraja. I mean, it landed some solid hits on him. I think you guys might have seen. Let's see. Yeah, Nagaraja, 25 points of damage. This one's routing, which is important, because now it's dead. This one's surrounded now. There we go. Close range crossbows. Alright, I think he killed just about all the Nagaraja thugs, which is a really big deal, because they've really been giving him a hard time. Gets to run down a few of the Naga warriors. Alright, let's go ahead and check. So Nagaraja dead, 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 dead. The Merc retreated, so he's gone. Guru retreated. Bandar Commander retreated. Atavi Chieftain dead. So, honestly, I think this went really well for Tianchi. I don't think he lost a lot either. Yeah, so lost some Barb Heavy Horsemen. He can recruit all those almost immediately. Some Ichthid Warriors, who cares? Keshig that he rolled on. Yeah, this is perfect. Exactly what you want to see. He probably looted a lot of gear, which is also important. And killed, I think, most of the remaining resistance. So now it's just a matter of closing out the PD dumps. There might be one more Nagaraja thug that you might want to hold the tiger back. But maybe you could send Barb Heavy Horsemen off to go raid PD dumps. Stuff like that. Very nice. Okay. And then we've got Pyrene against Man. So we've got a commander raiding into Man, seeing what all is here. And it's a lot. Very much a lot. The Range of Faith. Alright. The Atlantean Dragon, supported by a whole bunch of Ice Guard, going after a throne here. Any loot? Just that hardwood club. Now we've seen Ice Guard handle heavy cavalry pretty well before. They've got magic attacks, so they should do well against the warrior illusions. All in all, should be a pretty easy throne. You know, unless their dragon gets Soul Slate or something like that Ice Guard did. Is that all the leadership? No, there's still a bunch of mounted commanders. Ice Guard handily take care of the heavy cavalry. Like one big breath attack in these light cav and this battle's all over. Or the Ice Guard will hit it a few times and then it'll still be over. Yep. Alright. Easy win. Okay. So that's here. Loses 3 Ice Guards, 1 Seal Hunter. Perfectly acceptable. Gets a throne. Pyrene going after Man. We got a Barb, Pain, Man's PD. And then we've got Agartha going after Glowing Caverns. So a group of Cave Knights against Zots. Okay, the Drake Lord was down here. I was wondering if this guy was the Drake Lord. Okay. Who's this one? Marignon against Satis in Esquania. So Marignon, okay, so going after the PD dump with the Virtue. Very efficient. I like it. He's also brought someone to help buff the Virtue. We'll take a look at that buff script in just a second. Alright. So we got Body Ethereal, Gift of Cheated Fate, Virtue script is Personal Misform, Air Shield, Fire Shield, Arrow of the Western Wind, which landed and dealt 13 points of damage to a city guard. And then he's going to dive into this mess. Oh, hit points and enemy dominion are fine. Satis doesn't have a lot of dominion. Actually at risk of being dom killed. Especially since their dragon died. Probably the most threatening thing here are the Banefire crossbows, as they are magic attacks. So they could pop Mist Form. Looks like they did pop Mist Form. Or something did. Right? Or is it still there? Oh, it's got Body Ethereal though, so it's probably still fine. There's so much awe, and the barbarians have such low morale that none of them even want to attack their Virtue. As an idea for their morale, their basic morale is 10. Being in a friendly dominion in a home province, they'd be at something like 12. I guess there was a magic bonus, but it's nothing insane. I mean, the Virtue doesn't have a fear effect, but I don't think barbarians are known for their morale. Unless they go berserk. Alright, so that clears up 150 PD dump. Very efficiently. Notably, Marignon does not opt to go on the Satis capital, which I think might be a mistake. And we got Blue Beauty. Maybe he's waiting for the Virtue to be able to come with. We got some Shamblers going against some really basic Tritons. Tritons suck, but there's a lot of them, so we'll see how it goes. Okay. I think this cripple is going to win it for the independence. But the follow-up should be really easy. Ooh, but not all of them got off the field. Okay. So where was that? That was Blue Beauty. Okay. Then Man versus Pyrene and Calcis. We've got the little Bakemono squad. This might be too much PD for them, though. Nope, they do just fine. All right. Then Calum against Independence in Canaan. Got a scout pinging a throne, the Yamabushi throne. Now these guys can be sacred since they do have the sacred tag, but Independence just carry a morale +1 bless. It's something I hope Illwinter looks at in the future. I'd love to see random blesses on thrones. And maybe bigger spells come out of the mages on thrones. Yeah, just for some fun. Maybe it could be optional. I don't know. But that's just my personal opinion and desire. But yeah, they're known for their very high attack, pretty high damage katanas. These particular troops have low morale, though. And otherwise are pretty solid. I think that's their main weakness is morale. And Umbra. All right, we got a mixed force of cave knights, blind fighters, and a large variety of crossbows. Going up against some cavemen, they should easily handle this. It's just too many crossbows. Okay. So they lose 2 cave knights, kill the 40-something cavemen. In Nashin, we have an independent attack, more dogs. This is part of a lycanthropy event, which is a global event. Okay. In Kibia, we got more dogs. Easily defeated by PD. And Aoun. We've got a bunch of long dead, some soulless. Caspar the Necromancer. I do wonder if this is the Necromancer event. A lot of Calum troops here. I wonder if this is a fort. Okay. Let's see. In search of magical resources. That might not be the Necromancer event chain. I think it's got a different start to it. So I think this is just unlucky. Especially that it landed on a fort. And is preventing recruitment. Let's see, so Man's going to have to rally to take Blue Beauty. I think it would be rather provocative for Marignon to take this one too. They've already taken the full border. Okay. Let's look at Pyrene. So Pyrene's got their nasty looking capital defense with a whole bunch of Cambion Knights. There's an Agarthan army and a Man army. Agartha has missed out on the Range of Faith throne to take this farmland. So I guess now they're both kind of doing a staring competition to see who's going to fight Pyrene's army and take the cap. And if one of them takes too much damage, I wonder if the other one will try to knock them off of the cap. We do have more Man reinforcements heading to the throne. But Agartha's got troops everywhere. They haven't really taken much attrition just yet, but neither has Man. Man's got a bigger concentration here. Apparently now as many as 500 troops. And their boar. Let's see. Now Pyrene is Exodus. They have 5 candles there. A few candles there. But otherwise, they are rapidly losing candles. They have a couple of candles here under the Agarthan army. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely Dom-kill territory. But I have a feeling one of them's going to want to go for the cap sooner than later. Atlantis is still... Alright, so I think we talked about these two. I guess we've effectively talked about all 3 of these. In the caves, let's see. Agartha's army should be able to easily handle the cavemen here and take this copper deposit. He's still forwarding the steel ovens here, and then presumably someday he's going to finish expanding through here. I mean, he could expand there, through that cave. Doesn't own that entrance, but does own this entrance, so could try to expand into Smotherdark. I forget who owned this. There's this cave here under Marignon. Looks like Marignon's intending to take that. I would have tried prioritizing Cavern Realm as Agartha. I'm not sure if I would have wanted someone to potentially see this fort really easily. Especially Marignon. I think Marignon's got a spy in their roster. And I believe if they run a troubadour under that fort, they'll spot the ovens. And then it might become public knowledge. Or at least it could be if somebody tries to build a coalition against them. The Greyshade Forest is a huge site with the Grey Enchantress. Definitely worth building a fort here. I'm not sure if Man's definitely noticed he put a lab here. And he'll probably intend to fort it. But he might be waiting until his war is over. Alright, so I think this is this row. We've got Agartha still mostly scaling. I think it would have been worth it to temporarily lose this farm and get this throne, and then you could have come back. I think he's going to regret not having the golden throne. Just the 400 gold alone. I mean, he didn't know which throne it was, but the 400 gold alone would have made up for this farm. So he couldn't have known it, but the optimal play was to go for the throne. And now, because players very jealously guard their thrones, he'll have to fight a war to eventually get this throne. So I think priority on the throne rather than priority on the farm, even if you might have been pissed off at Pyrene. So I think in retrospect, that's definitely a mistake. All right. But yeah, Man's just really building up. They're pinging each other. So scouts are getting patrolled out. I don't know. We'll see if they end up trying to walk on the cap and what kind of attrition they take. I think the problem with sending the army with the boar is the army is still going to take a lot of attrition just because the boar, it's going to take it time to do anything against the Cambion Knights, so the troops are going to also have to deal with Cambion Knights. Alright, Tianqi, meanwhile, has Patala locked down, has killed just about all the Patala troops. There are a few PD dumps that he needs to take care of, but they shouldn't be a major blocker. He might be incentivized to use the cat to clear out the PD dumps. That might be something he leans towards wanting to do. I think he should send troops to clear out the PD dump because you want the cat on to deal with the Nagaraja thugs. Since we've seen how many issues these barbarian heavy cav have in dealing with geared Nagaraja thugs, and there's probably at least one more inside, which was the intern's recruitment. So I would definitely be careful. But other than that, it should be on the home stretch. I'd try to wrap up all this stuff with Barbarian Heavy Cav as quickly as possible. Now, he might not get punished if he moves the cat out, because I imagine Patalo's not going to sally again. But, just to be on the safe side, I would leave the cat here. Additionally, the cat also helps Dom kill. So you might not even have to storm against the Patala stuff if you just leave the cat on Patala, Dom killing it. So for instance, failed laboratory experiments, PD. We got one candle here, one candle on the cap, 2 candles to the north, 1 candle here, and 4 candles in Bogatin. I mean, all these candles can be very quickly gotten rid of. It might be faster to preach out these candles than it would be to siege down this fort. I mean, you're going to have to siege it down anyways, but it's a lot easier when it's empty. And you take a lot less attrition if it's empty from being Dom killed. So, time to get those priests out preaching. It would absolutely be worth maybe throwing a temple down in Sermiak or in Rame, just to get a little bit more Dom pressure over here. And I'm not sure if his profit died or if it's still up. I think it's still up, but getting those, increasing it from maybe 2 temple checks a turn to 4 when there's only maybe a prophet inside, and I think the prophet might have died last turn. So then, or I forget, he might not even have a prophet. It might have died at one of these turns. I haven't been paying too much attention to the Batala prophet. But you could be leveraging a lot more temple checks on this little area than just what this temple can give. So, all right, but yeah, Tianchi firmly in the driver's seat now. Just needs to get more heavy cav over here. Should probably consider raiding some of them out to maybe take Cassian Forest and Bycliffe. If you split the heavy cav and script them maybe on attack so that they use their lances rather than getting bogged down in shooting matches. Maybe have these guys take Bogatin. And then you got the cat to keep things locked down with maybe a few ancestor vessels and a crossbowman. I think that'd be a pretty good setup. Otherwise, Atlantis continuing to scale away. They got to launch one more attack at Midland. It's been a pretty sad series of events for them there. Between losing out on the chance for all the gear, losing that cap-only mage. But their second fort here has come up. They've got another fort coming up in Blue Water. I personally, it's my personal preference, if I'm playing a nation that can do underwater really well, I like to fort all the underwater provinces. I think it makes it especially toxic for someone to try and invade you. So I like the idea of being as thorny as possible. So you got 3 forts here, you got your cap. You could even try and maybe put up a fort in Strongdale, and then you got the fort here that he's building. You got the fort here, and then you got like a whole fort chain. That would just be especially difficult and annoying to deal with in the free fort here. So, but he's probably going to be incentivized to put a fort in Range of Faith first. Especially the Golden Throne. Such a good throne. Fire and Astral on Atlantis, I think, are both new paths. No, not Astral. They've got Astral, but maybe Astral 3. They might not get, and those guys get Astral 3. Yeah, and then Fire Magic at all is new. So yeah, well, no, they do get a random for fire. Man, they can really make the Rune Smashers. But yeah, I mean, these guys come with Magic Phase, and you get new cross paths. You get high fire, higher astral. So I think it's going to be a very solid mage for Atlantis. All right, but otherwise they're just continuing to scale. I think they're expanding underground a bit. They're definitely doing some site searching. Got an arena here. So, yep, really solid. And then moving up to the Marignon Satis War. Satis's ability to just pump out huge amounts of stuff is insane. And, very importantly, we see the return of the dragon. So, his army rideout provided just enough time and just enough hesitation for Marignon and did just enough damage that he was able to get his dragon back. And I think that's a huge deal. The dragon definitely has the potential to kill the virtue. I mean, they can both kill each other depending on how the engagements work out. He's got a huge army. He's got poison slingers to poison the royal guard from Marignon. So it could very much be a mutually destructive fight, and I'm not sure who would win. So this is really interesting. Additionally, he's recruiting barbarians up here. So we've got near 30 barbarians. We've got a bunch of stuff down here in this fort getting recruited. So yeah, this is going to be tough for Marignon. But, Marignon still has a lot going for it. It's got all three of these bigger forts recruiting for it. It has the potential to leverage blood magic to get in there. Devils, I think, would go a long way. And using this Devil's Den to get more devils, I think, is a very productive use of a blood mage. How much is a devil, generally? So instead of having to hunt for a devil, you get to just bind one. So that's 5 free blood slaves a turn. That's kind of like a successful hunt without, I mean, you do get the unrest, but it's a wasteland, so who cares? And it's guaranteed. So I think this site is absolutely worth using, and you also don't have to dedicate a Blood 2 Fire 2 mage to getting that devil. But yeah, Marignon still has the advantage, but if anyone can sit and turtle in their cap, it's definitely Satis. So we'll have to see what happens here. All right, and then we've got Calum. So Calum just pinged this throne. I think they've got a lot of stuff, I think, about to meet up here in Darnathorn to go ahead and attack this throne. It's the Throne of Air. I think they're going to be maybe a little bit disappointed in this throne. The air shield is nice for all the ironbound crossbows he's using, but other than that, I don't know what use he has out of a flying air 2 mage, since Calum has so many birds. Flying air 2 water 1 mage. I don't know. But yeah, it does come with a fair amount of air income, which can definitely be nice on Calum. We can take a quick look at thrones. No one's claimed any yet. I think people are worried about what people might think about thrones that they've taken, and maybe they're trying to fort them first and then claim them, rather than maybe just assuming that they've forgotten to claim them. So like Agartha with the Throne of Fortune probably wants his fort up first and then he'll claim it. Then he's also just gotten the Throne of Bureaucracy. But yeah, I think that's everyone for this one. So Tianqi, I think, ahead of the pace, partially because they started a little bit earlier and because they've locked down Patalas Cap a couple of times. other nations still have to bite the bullet to take cap defenses. So Marignon's gonna have to bite the bullet against the Citis dragon. It's taken a little bit too long. Citis got the dragon back. And either Man or Agartha are gonna have to fight, bite the bullet and storm this big stack of Campion Knights. So, contrary to what TNG thinks, despite all their attrition, I think they're actually in a reasonably good position. They just need to clean up these PD dumps, siege down this cap, maybe Dom kill Padala so they don't have to deal with the defense, storm the fort, and then they still have time, because other armies are tied up, to look at maybe the Throne of the Artificer, which on TNG would be real nice, or the Throne of Dreams. Although maybe they don't want that, but Magic would also be pretty nice. Throne of Death, I'm not as sure about. I'm sure the Death Income would be welcome, but they're already Death 1. I'm not sure if they want to go down to Death 2. But yeah, they could definitely look at some thrones. Everyone should know this throne based on the death scales. So we'll see. It's probably why no one's angling to take it just yet. And then maybe, no, nobody's really looking at the Throne of Dreams just yet either. Though it is a lot of glamour income. So I think that's it for this one. So I'm going to go ahead and call this episode. I will see you in the next one. Have a good one, guys.